Biddly biddly, biddly boat. Yes, yes, yo. Here we go. There ain't nobody down round here. Friday night vibes. You know what time it is. Get that badger. In and on and over here. We had to move back to get his greatness in, although, as we've learned, he needs his plinth. His place to stay. Aston Villa tomorrow, so just here for half an hour or so, just to discuss the game. Obviously, it'll be a very difficult game tomorrow. Aston Villa, obviously excellent. Third in league, 50 points. They're 8 points behind the bottlers Arsenal, who, I mean, it's crazy really when you assume, they've got a game in hand that puts them 5 points behind. Obviously, they're not going to pick up the win tomorrow against the mighty Leeds, so that leaves them slightly crumbled and foibled. It leaves them at 8 points. They're sort of indifferent in the last 5 games. They've been, they've got beat to Everton, they've got beat to Brentford, they've won 2, drawn 1, lost 2. So it's not, it's not top 3 form when you imagine out of the last 5, even Man United since Woodgate, since Carrick's come in, which obviously, and I don't buy into the he's changed it right, he's changed the fortunes for them, but you know what I'm saying. It's they've won 4 of the last 5 and drawn the last game, so they're obviously on a bit more of a, that's better form, that's sort of league winning form, isn't it, which Man United will fall back off from. Obviously a difficult place to go. They did us over, didn't they, in the home game. I thought we played really well in the home game, to be honest, and had it not been for peri sauce, I think we get a minimum a draw, really. The free kick particularly I thought were poor. And I know everybody goes on about Rodgers' free kick ability and all that stuff, but I thought it was poor from Perry. Obviously, we will know Thursday. And anyways, if you stop the badger, we'll pack our bags and come live come live with me. And it's 78 RPM. Will we rage bait? And we just don't know. We do not know. We just don't know. But yeah, what's everybody's thoughts tomorrow? I'm hopeful, obviously, as I always am. I'll be doing a watch along. The only thing that does concern me is our away form. Obviously, we've got 4 draws and 1 win on the road, which isn't good in the last, what would it be? How many games away have we played? Is it 10 or something like that? 4 draws, 1 win. But, that being said, I think it was it Notts Forest the year that they stayed up? I think they won 1 game away from home. So it's not really the most important thing in the world. Granted, then you've got to obviously make it happen at home. But, Villa are a type of team that you can beat. I know they're third in the league, but I do think the league's slightly skewed somewhat. There's a lot of teams that have fallen off by the wayside, really. Like Chelsea have been indifferent, in and out of form. Obviously, Tottenham in it, bottom of the league, they'd normally be in and around it, years gone by other than last year. Man United have been shit for years. Liverpool have been poor this season. So, you granted you're in there, the 3 points behind Man City. Obviously, Man City have got a game in hand as well on Arsenal. Hopefully they bottle it. Don't want Tottenham to get a result necessarily against Arsenal, but if they're gonna pick up 3 points, I'd rather it against Arsenal and gives us a chance to on that European charge. But jokes aside, I just do not want the Arsenal fans winning the league. I don't think I can handle it. So yeah, I think realistically, if you go for a draw, I don't think Farke. This idea that Farke turns up looking for the draw, I don't think it's a fair assessment of him. I don't think that's his sole reason for being. Playing away, being slightly, people think that playing Gruev, for instance, in central midfield is a negative thought. I agree, it's not as attackive as, playing Tanaka in there, but we lose a lot when Gruev's not in the side, and there's a lot of hard yards need to be done, particularly away from home. I do think Farke's got a little bit of a selection headache upon himself, though. Stack, back, Metcha available, Nonto available, James potentially available, JJ and Bogle's quite a big moment really, because if you imagine, with Pascal back, does he come straight into the side? Does it mean JJ's then dropped and then he has to have a look at Bogle? JJ was obviously the captain against Birmingham, which I know doesn't mean. Well, I think it means more than it done. I think he's obviously selected him. He's obviously a good character in there, and he obviously sees a bit of a future with him at the club. So he will want to back him somewhat. That being said, Pascal has been like a mainstay, and he's a big tough bastard, isn't he, at centre back. Gruev, these are all topics of discussion for the selection choice, really. You know, even Perry Sauce, which I'd be reluctant to bring Perry back in, having seen like one half decent performance against Birmingham, but ultimately, you know, he'll have asked the question, won't they? And you don't know what type of a character Perry is. The one thing I would say is, you know, after the Birmingham match, he got interviewed with my best mate Longstaff, and he came across really well, to be fair, you know. And Longstaff did mention that he'd had a tough time and stuff, and a tough sort of start to his career at Leeds, and he took it really well and that. So, you know, he just said it's good to, you know, just be back in the team, you know, performing. So that's a good thing. And I think he may very well end up being our number one again. It just got to wait and see with how Darlow gets on, really, because Darlow's not covered himself in glory, has he? That being said, Perry, still against Birmingham, was still rolling around on the floor from every free kick, every corner that came in, which is not the one, is it? It's not what we want. But the main selection issue is I really want to try and dig down deep into if Stack and Pascal are fully fit. The main issues for me are Stack comes in for Okafor, and people will think that is defensive. Now, if he goes Gruev and Ampadu in the middle, it affords him to go Aronson, Calvert-Lewin and Stack as like a front three. Now, I know people don't like to discuss the front three, but it does become a three. Stack pushes forward just different to how Okafor does. Okafor has the ability to go out wide left, high wide, get at his right back. Stack doesn't do that, I agree. But Aronson does a similar thing to what Stack does from the right-hand side. So rather than Aronson being an out-and-out winger, much like Okafor is, this idea that it's just Aronson up top with DCL is not quite true. They become a three, and that's why we need Gruev in there, really, because Gruev and Ampadu can sit. If you go Tanaka and Ampadu, it changes things significantly. Then Stack's got to be the one that holds a little bit more, because Tanaka will be the one more forward-thinking, the one that wants to get the ball further up the field. But Tanaka's not that type of a centre midfielder, I don't think, where, you know, he can play in the 8, but I don't think it's the same as Stack. I think Stack's a lot more, I don't want to say mobile, because Tanaka can really get about the pitch and stuff, but I think Stack's a bit more robust and he's a bit more robotic with it. I think it's less fluidity to it, and it's more structured, and it allows us to press and be aggressive. And same with Aronson, you know, and equally Aronson can get out wide right. I think James won't be fully fit, but I was surprised. I can't remember who it was against in the home game, but James came on and played very similar to what Aronson and Stack do in that role, which surprised me, really, because I thought he'd maybe, you know, I think we do Dr. Farker and the medics a bit of a disservice, really, because these players come back, and I sometimes wonder how you'd edge Daniel James back into the side. But ultimately, Farker knows this, doesn't he? He knows exactly what type of a player Dan James is, so he's just pushing him high and wide, isn't he? You think or my thought is you push him high and wide, but no, Dan James maybe can do the Aronson type role, maybe can do the Stack type role. Again, the role that I don't think suits Tanaka. It's horses for courses. Do you remember when we said Biol wasn't very good in a 2? Then when we played him in a 3, he's been excellent. When it's been him, Rodon and Struick, they've all been excellent, haven't they, as three defensive-minded players. But as a 2, Biol's not really been the one, has he? It may very well be the case where he can do it now. You know, there's times when Farker's gone to 4 at the back in mid-game, and Biol's dealt with it fine. Struick, depending on, again, how fit he is, that's when the James Justin topic comes alive and well, because, you know, James Justin, I do think he'd be reluctant to drop him, and he's been very good for us, and he does allow us that when we've got Gruev, again, this is how malleable the team is. So if Gruev's not playing, I think he can go with Pascal at the back in a 3, and then you can afford to play Tanaka or Longstaff in the centre with Ampadu and Stack, and they can both sort of get forward when and if, because it gives you that stability with having the 3 proper centre-backs in the side. However, if it goes James Justin, you need Gruev, because James Justin and Bogle will often become too wide. You know, Bogle becomes slightly like a winger. I don't want to say a winger, because it's not quite at that level where he's an out-and-out winger, but he becomes a wide player, and James Justin's right in there behind him. Sometimes on the underlap, sometimes on the overlap, and you know we all love an underlap. God rest its soul. So JJ can get forward, so you need Gruev. We actually, I think it was I can't remember the games now, they come that thick and fast, but we brought Gruev off. We sort of pushed him for a result, I think. It was in recent history. I think, did we still get a draw? Was it maybe Everton away? Was it maybe? think it might have been Everton. Could have been Chelsea though, but might have been Chelsea. But we brought Gruev off, and we did lose a little bit. We did lose a little bit of that stability, and sometimes I think what I'm trying to say is sometimes things that make you more rigid also make you more fluid in other areas of the pitch, so they can rely on Gruev to do a certain job, and there's nothing wrong with having players like that. And that, truth being told, Gruev's also pulled a few assists out of bag, hasn't he, in recent weeks. I do think he's come on leaps and bounds himself. If we'd have signed him, it's the same old thing. I think people get bored of the same players in the same roles, and then possibly get sort of pigeonholed into having this role and being a certain type of player, when in reality, Gruev, if we'd have signed him and he'd have played in a few games that he has played, and you'd go, well, that's a decent signing. It's because we brought him in the Championship, and everybody loved him in the Championship. And I agree, there's definitely scope to improve, but there's scope to improve in every single position we're in. There's not a position on the pitch that we can't improve on, from the goalkeeper to the centre forward, and I think DCL's been brilliant. I think Metch's been brilliant for exactly for what he's been, I think he's got a bit of quality on board. He can't hold the ball up as well as DCL, but, when it's them two up top together, that works. That becomes an option off at bench. Does he play Cornetto? No, I don't think he does. Cornetto's already coming into a little bit of stick, isn't he? Which I think's unfair. Again, I thought he were really poor against Birmingham in that first half, and my man Dr. Farker dragged him off. And probably rightly so, really. It wasn't cutting the mustard, was he? But again, it's like formation favours certain players, doesn't it? And certain players can adapt in many different positions. When you're playing as a central defensive midfielder, if it's Gruev and Ampadu, it doesn't really matter what the formation is. If it's me and him in there today, we're playing his own game. I've said it about the centre-backs before. When there's three in there, they're just playing their own game. It's like, it's us three together today. You look either side and go, you two with me today, all day, and you just do your best in there, don't you? And you just focus on the simple things in life. When you're trying to create or get forward and you're not quite, Okafor's clearly a wide left player who wants to get at his right back. When he's told to come inside a little bit, get a bit closer to Calvert-Lewin, not necessarily wants it as much in there. But against Birmingham, like lower level teams, with the greatest respect to them, he's able to turn, isn't he? And it was a brilliant turn for Metch's goal and stuff. He does have that in his locker. So we do need to give players a little bit of time to get used to these new roles. Because 5-10 yards in a football game is huge amounts of space. It's a completely different place to pick up the ball. If you imagine as a centre-back picking up the ball on 22 yards out, 10 yards forward from that, you're into the central defensive midfielder role. Still a decent place to have a bit of time on ball and pick the ball up. Then you're into the centre midfield role, rock hard, around halfway line. Very difficult place to be picking up the ball. It's only 5 yards difference, 10 yards difference from central defensive midfielder. Then when you're in the 10, for me, the hardest place to pick up the ball, everybody's worried about you, everybody's defending against you, everybody's around you and just want to get the ball off you. And then out wide, it starts to get progressively easier as you go out wide. You've got more space, you've got less angles that can get the ball from you. It's easier to cover yourself. And that's why Aronson's really started to find his feet. And he's actually worked out a little, and I wouldn't say he's worked out, he's just worked on the fact that he's picking up the ball in brilliant spaces. And when he does overdo it, which he still does overdo it at times, it must be said that he's massively washed that out of his game, hasn't he? Where he's not overdoing it in situations where he's not losing the ball anywhere near as often. And he's a little bit more direct with it, I think. I think he's been taught, he sort of played out wide right a few times when he set up DCL for that goal really central. Again, I can't quite remember the game that was. It's too many games. But, it was an away game. It's a good goal. And he does a little step over and just lays it in for DCL, who taps it in. That was when he was wide right. So he was getting at his left back a bit and he was just pushing it past him and going. And then I think as he's sort of crept more and more inside, he's sort of found that, you can still be sort of directing them areas. So it's good stuff. And Okafor's getting better at it. We need to give Facundo, Cornetto a little bit of time to, just adapt into things. Nonto's struggling for minutes, really, isn't he, in the grand scheme of things. It was only a few years ago where we needed Nonto and we needed Somerville in our Premier League team. I think we're in a really strong space. Eddie Gray said the other day in that interview with Sam Allardyce, saying that he thinks we've got a really strong squad, and I agree. I think we do have a strong squad. And I think Dr. Farker and the medics are getting everything out of the current squad. I think there's not a player that I can think of that hasn't played many minutes. You know, they've all been like, we've needed them all at a certain time. Even Bornau, you know, people were taking piss about Bornau a few months ago saying, who even is this Bornau? You know, like, is he ever going to play? You know, like Farker. Farker likes to give the players a little bit of time. And if they're not ready, it's better for them not to be ready and not to get any minutes than it is to force them in. And then the fan base fall out with them. And then suddenly they start getting booed. And, you know, we go down this fucking run all the time, don't we? Don't worry about it, Roger Slicker. Mood lighting, Joe Depp. Yes, Joe Depp. Apparently he didn't drag him off, as was always going to play one half, according to Dr. Fark. Yeah, also that's absolutely fine, Joe Depp, as well, yeah. But it just doesn't help when he was as poor as he was. You know, he lost the ball pretty much every time he got on it. But like you say, if that I'm unaware Dr. Fark has said that, to be fair. But you know, maybe that's not the medics in there. I would have thought so. Maybe that's why he's not playing him anymore. Love it, Mr. Whitesnake, and you know it, mate, and you know it. How to win against Villa is simple. Put the ball in the back of the net more times than they do. It's simple. Football's a simple game, Mr. Whitesnake, personified, mate. Bertland Gustine, what's good, big man? 2026 FA Cup winners, Leeds United. Yeet up, my lad, love it. Welcome to the loving show, guys, and you know it, Joe Depp, yes, and you know it. How many of these content creators have stopped since your last assessment? Love it, Mr. Whitesnake, up in the tempo. Yeet up. How's it going, Luke? Yes, Gomez gang. Have to take the FA Cup seriously. A win and decent draw in the quarterfinals, and we can start to believe we can win it and get right behind it. Because rest assured, we can go to these teams and pick up results, can't we? We've learnt that, shown that across the entire season. We've been super competitive, and like I say, you know, even our away form's not obviously. There's only one win away from home, I believe, all season, which sounds horrendous, but really we've been competitive in games and drawn 4. I think we've played 10 away, have we? So, you know, how many were we expecting to win, really? As home form has obviously dug us out. Not dug us out, because I think we've been in a really good place, you know. 15th in league, 30 points, with 6 points off West Ham. I think it'll be a tough game tomorrow. But obviously you want a bit of momentum going into Man City, don't you? So it's obviously going to be a very difficult game. But again, under lights at home. Yes, Mr. Whitesnake getting the love he deserves. Always look on the bright side. Honestly, we can do this, and you know it. Yes, Mr. Whitesnake. Yes, Richard, Todd, evening, Jack. They are without that little shit McGinn. It will hopefully help us. Hope Dr. Farker plays 2 up top. I don't think he will, Richard, Todd. I think it will be something he goes towards, like he has been doing, where I think he'll go 4 at back, and then I think he'll bring Metcher on for, you know, if Stack is to start, or if I don't think he'll go in on to be honest. But if it's Stack, he'll bring Stack off. You know, he'll be looking for minutes, really, won't he? I think it'll be Gruev, Stack, Ampadu, Aronson, DCL up top. And then they'll get in and around him. And then I think he'll look at how the game's going. And then 60, 70 minutes in, the 70-minute mark, he'll have a look, won't he? The one thing I'd say about Dr. Farker and the medics as well, not so much the medics, mainly Dr. Farker with this, is he doesn't really... I don't feel like it changes his plan. Obviously, how the game going monitors and makes him make changes in different ways. But I think sometimes he can still make a change. He'll still bring Metcher on, even if we're 2-1 up. He's not a negative substitution maker, I don't believe. Do you see what I mean? It's not like he goes into games. You know, if he wants to get Metcher on pitch, he doesn't see it as like a risky thing to do, and that's when you have trust in your squad, isn't it? Which is what you want. You know, you want if you were Metcher and you play and you're not getting tons of minutes, you wouldn't want to be at a club where you're 2-1 up away from home and your manager doesn't trust you to come on and do a job up top. You know, even if it's not a like for like, even if, like, say, if it's for Stack, it's like, well, I can do that job. Just give me the minutes, because I think sometimes there's also an over exaggeration on like players that come off of the bench having to do enough to get into the first team. Because anybody that's played football never sat on bench, which is awful to do. You know, you're coming off at bench and you feel like you've got something to prove and you're trying to get into the first team, when in reality, I think that stops managers playing you. If the manager goes, right, I need you to do a job for me today, but it's not going to have any effect, any bearing on, I don't care about your goals per minute and stuff. If you get a chance, obviously take it. I'm not saying don't run forward with the ball or whatever, but I want you to do this for me. And then you're looking at I don't know, he's looking at Nonto and saying same thing. And then Metcha thinks, well, I can do that. Are you pigeonholing me into being a centre forward that only wants to get forward and score goals or whatever? And that, I do believe, is like the demise of people like Ramazani, who couldn't really get in the squad at a certain time. And then he'd give him a few minutes, and Ramazani had put nutmeg on somebody, which is all brilliant and good. But then when you lose the ball in the centre of the park, straight after you've nutmegged somebody, that is of no interest to Dr. Farker, is it? Do you know what I mean? You have to do the job that you've been told to do, you know. And it's not a case of hanging on. That's what I'm saying. He'll still make an attacking, like-minded substitution. It's safe in the mindset that we just keep doing as we're doing. Like, he's not a negative manager. I just don't think he is. Yes, if you can smash a like for us, guys, it proper helps. Got 32 in the room. But only 19 likes, guys. So if you can smash a like for us, it's much appreciated. Yes, Lukey boy. Yes, Top Banana. What's good, big man? In the building. Ayo, get your controversial comment in, mate. Jack, have you given up the ghost? Have you given up the ghost on Tanaka? Given up the ghost? Do you mean, have I given up on Tanaka? I think Tanaka's out of form, and I don't mind Dr. Farker not playing him. I don't really see. I cannot for the life of me understand why anybody's a critic of Farker in his selection. When was the last time he got it drastically wrong? We obviously got banged up to Arsenal the other week, but that happens, doesn't it? I know Arsenal have now bottled it, which is tremendous for everybody, or certainly for me, and I would imagine millions of others around the country. I think some people will probably want Arsenal to win it on the channel, but I definitely don't. The dick slaps. But that being said, you can't really argue with his team selection. That's what I mean when he's gone, like when we rode on against Crystal Palace, when he's flying down right hand side and his heat map looks like Okafor's. You know, it's a wild. He's made some wild changes. This idea that the bloke's not fluid in his formation. He does not care. He says it himself about people concentrate too much on the base formations. Things change in moments, don't it? And he's got the team so well oiled, I do believe. You know, I do believe they can take a little bit of responsibility and a bit of onus. And they have a little bit of freedom in order to go, right, no, me and you go here. When James Justin and Bogle get forward, there's no way on earth you can you can coach that, obviously, in moments. But they're going to get caught out a lot. And that's where just a bit of game intelligence comes in. That's why you need Gruev and Ampadu in there to then just go, right, I'm going to sit in here. Gruev, get you sent in here because I'm off right back, you know. I become the centre-back, which they do anyway, because even when Longstaff plays, when it's Longstaff and Ampadu, they both come really central, don't they, and deep into the defence. So it's not... They sort of find themselves in these positions anyway, and they allow the other player to go forward. Down the left-hand side, it's very different. That's why Okafor and Goodmanson have been working out together. Because Okafor wants to sort of pull over towards Goodmanson anyway, and Goodmanson carries the ball a lot more than Bogle or James Justin does. James Justin want to play, don't they? Bogle carries the ball a little bit, to be fair, but not quite like Goodmanson, not all the way to the byline. I'd say Bogle wants to sort of cut in, doesn't he, and get on towards like the corner of the box rather than Goodmanson's like an old school, you know, get to byline and whip a ball in, isn't he? So that should feel lopsided, but it's not, because we've got enough players in the centre of the park that'll do the job, you know, left and right back or central or whatever, you know, filling in the gaps. That's all it is. Dr. Farker does love tweaks, and the medical staff are of the highest level. I agree, Mr. Whitesnake. Yes, Salfie, what's good, brother? How's it going, man? Good evening, lovely Leeds fans. Let's go all attack tomorrow. I want 3 points marching on together. 3 points would be enormous for us tomorrow. They drop out the scare. Get it stuck in, AO. Get it stuck in. Get it thought out, mate. Well, away from home as well, Joe Depp. You know, I think we've got to stay solid, haven't we, with it? Again, I don't think being solid means being negative. So I know you're not saying that, but you probably want Peru in, don't you, Joe Depp? Which is fine. Yes, Southie, Top Banana getting a bit of love. Bit struggling at the moment, to be honest. I hope you're all right, Top Banana. What's popping? Tanaka and Nonto gone in the summer, says Gomez Gang. I don't know whether I overplayed it, because he was very much in the celebrations with Tanaka after the Birmingham game, but he's obviously got his headband on or whatever, and he looked like he tore it off a little bit, like he may be a little bit frustrated. That might just be in his performance. I did worry about Tanaka last season when he were beefing and that. It did panic me, that, you know, when he said it's just like he's give everything on pitch and that. I don't think... It's not the tears that worries me. I'm not bothered about that before anybody comes to me with his mental health or something. It's just more like, you know, on a competitive level, what are you anticipating? It's like, you got to be tough, haven't you, in these games? And I'm not saying Tanaka's not, because he comes on and does a brilliant job most of the time, 85% of the time. But he can't withdraw from not having a bad game either. They're all capable of these bad games. It's the level we're at. This is why they're not top tier. This is why we've been able to get these players. It's like to expect a lot of consistency from Okafor is just not realistic, is it? It's just not. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. It's not. If he was a consistent player, banging goals in and assists every week, Leeds would have never signed him. We wouldn't been able to attract him. It's the hardest players to get, these creative players. Watching Blackburn versus Preston putting me off football. Good God, yes, Arthur Bushby. It doesn't surprise me. You hear the players even say we train hard so we know what we need to do. It becomes natural. Absolutely, Mr. Whitesnake. And I feel like there is a togetherness amongst the squad. I think there's a proper togetherness and a team mentality, and I do think everybody sort of knows the role, and I don't think anybody's particularly pissing and whinging when they're on the bench. They'll be disappointed to not be there. But again, results back that up, don't they? When you're picking up results like we are doing and beating top sides, and Dr. Farker does seem to be getting it right more often than not. I would say, again, 85, 90% of the time, getting it absolutely bang on, and made changes in games that have been ultimately, won us or picked us up a draw or whatever. I think he's a angry enough bloke while being calm enough. I think he's got a bit of everything, Dr. Farker. And I think he's really knitting the squad together, and that's why he doesn't want any bad apples in there. And he's not just going to drag a player in because he knows the importance of everybody sticking together and being as a unit and being and not shirking the blame. I think blame game is a big thing in football. I think if you look at Man United when they were dog shit, when it were, Fernandes and all of them, they've been shit for years, haven't they? There's a lot of points. There's a lot of pointing going on. And somebody mentioned that about Declan Rice the other night, apparently having a right go at Eze. It's fine, and people think it looks good. And I remember last year when Rodon were having a go at Meslier, Silent S, and everybody on Twitter saying he fucking hates him, don't he? This is ace, this is, and it's like, this ain't good. That ain't good amongst the squad. That is not what you want. You do not want people pointing the finger. You want to go, no, I take responsibility for that. Now, granted, it's difficult with Meslier Silent S when he's throwing the ball in his own net. But I just mean when you're bickering in general, I don't think it's good for the harmony of the squad. You don't want to come off for certain players. You don't rate players. It's like what Real Madrid do. When, there's an agenda starts brewing, doesn't it? It's beyond reasonable doubt now. Some will be Farker out as long as he is here. Their agendas are so strong. Nothing he does changes that. Effing crazy. Agreed, 78 RPM. Arthur Bushby on the 2-all. I think that'd be a mint game as well to watch. So let's have it, Arthur Bushby. Why, Roger Slicker? Keep strong, mate, says Southie to Banana. Top Banana. I've been through loads of things recently, but life is too short. Chin up, mate. Shout out to Southie, top man. I agree. Hope all is well, man. Hope all is well, boys. Not that Jack gives a shit, but I've now fully recovered from the mental breakdown and fits of despair at the thought of no more underlaps, and that's not my controversial comment of the day. I do care, hey, and you know it. You should know it by now. If you don't know by now, you never knew. They don't teach you all at school, that's why, Southie. Agreed, top Banana. Might be a bit OTT, but 3 points tomorrow and we are definitely stopping up. I know, I was sort of being a little bit jovial with the, an away win. We're an away win away from safety. But I kind of do agree with that rhetoric, Richard Todd, to be honest. I think it's massive for us tomorrow. I think, and Aston Villa are a proper decent side. It's one of them ones where you're not expecting to really pick up much, even in the home game. And, shame we couldn't in that game because I thought we were good enough value. But if we do lose, it's not the end of the world. That's why we're in a pretty good position, both in the league and in terms of the upcoming fixtures. We've just got to ride this out a little bit, and try pick some up against Man City and Villa. And then if you do, it puts so much less pressure on the Sunderland game, doesn't it? Now that's a home game, which I think obviously suits us down to ground. And my man Brett, who is a Sunderland fan who often spends time over here, because he's a Leeds fan, kinda. We all know that by now. Sunderland have been really bad on the road, so hopefully we can reverse that result and get something. And Sunderland are definitely a team that you'd be looking at from last year thinking we can definitely beat. We have been, we beat them to the league. We're only 6 points behind them, let's bear in mind. They've won 2 of the last 5. They do win games, they do. Sunderland, they've drawn the same amount of us and they've won two more games than us. So it's not, we're not that indifferent. That's where the 6 points come from. It's not like they're drawing plenty of games or, they've only lost 2 more. We've lost 2 more games than them. Obviously, if they've won 2 more, we've lost 2 more. But not obviously, because it could come down to draws. That's what I'm saying. So we can definitely get at them, but you don't want that to be a bit of a deal breaker where we're looking at that game over your shoulder, shitting your pants a bit, do you? I don't know what that is, Top Banana, but I hope you're all right, man. I hope you're all right, big man. 78 RPM. Football is massively a squad game now. Not sure a lot of fans can get their heads around that. Hence all the player FC crap. Yeah, it's definitely the stronger squad definitely gets the apples at the end, doesn't it? The tasty apples, not the shit ones. Have faith, brother. We are capable of anything. We break records and we'll continue that trend. And you know it, Mr. Whitesnake. We're unstoppable, mate. 100% White Swan. There's no need for it. This is what I'm saying. If we'd have signed Gruev and if we'd have signed Aronson in the window, genuinely, with how Aronson's performed this year and with how Gruev's been as a bit of a utility player, you'd think, yeah. I mean, granted, you wouldn't have wanted to spend the money that we spent on Aronson. But maybe he's now worth that money. Maybe it's been maybe they were playing the long game with Aronson. Because now, we've got him for naught. You're here now. We didn't want you here, but you're here. And then it's like, well, he's here and he's playing well and he's banging goals and he's getting assists. And I know nobody likes to hear it, but the bloke works his nuts off, so it's good stuff. If we lose, we will definitely lose. If we are loose, he's been pedantic. Still on course for 10th, 11th, and you know it. You know it, Top Banana. I'm not sure what that is either, Southie, but I hope everything's all right, boys. It's quite all right, Southie. Do not fear, mate. It's a family, brother. Ayo, Farker is going to keep recklessly flogging our injured players to keep playing. Until they are out the team for lengthy spells, and that's my controversial comment of the day. We love Ayo, don't we? Tickle those likes, says Top Banana. I'd appreciate you boys if you can cozy on up to them likes. We've got 38 in room and only 23 likes, so we can definitely do more. Can definitely cozy on up to that like button for me. It's just a quick shit live, this, because I wanted to do... I'm going to go live a little bit more often rather than doing the quick shit vids. I might, there's time for quick shit vids and then there's time for live interaction in the boys, so we can have a bit of everything. Come on now, Mr. Whitesnake, stay loose. How can some of these poor Premier League teams string out wins in Europe like Forest? Because I don't think the European clubs are that strong, Roger Slicker. And I think you go away and you go into these games and they bang up for them and they start entering the games thinking, they're not going to have much space, they're not going to have much time to operate. And then suddenly they think, we've got tucking 2 minutes on ball here. They feel like they've got loads of space. It's a different game, isn't it? And particularly the Premier League this season has been the most competitive season in terms of aggressive football and like a bit more old school. And it's been not very tippy-tappy and tiki-taka or whatever you call it. It's been long throws and, not big tackles, but you know what I mean? Getting about it, getting your arse in there, getting your elbows out and having a look at stuff. It's gone back to normal a little bit. I've actually enjoyed the season, and we're doing well in it. And Farker's definitely preempted that. He's definitely not come up here and wanting to be the footballing club that goes down. He's actually turned into what Scott Parker would love to be, a forward-thinking, strong, defensively team. We are a team. It's perfect. It's working well. Not perfect, but it's working well. Bielsa the king. Aronson, captain of the Redemption Arc 11. Yes, BMG, and you know it, mate, and you know it. Gruev 5 million, certainly getting value from him, absolutely. And his stock will be rising as well, 78 RPM. At the start of the season, you weren't sure you'd have got much. You wouldn't have got much for him, would you? But I think there'll be a few takers now. I'm not saying Premier League wise, potentially not, but although promoted side would have him, wouldn't they? Or definitely a Championship club would have him. I think some teams in Germany would have him and stuff. I think there's The world's his lobster, as Frank Warren would say. Emphysema is a chronic obstruction characterised by damage to the lungs, reducing... Oh, fucking hell, man. Terrible, brother. Keep on keeping on, boys. I think for how much we've spent recently on players this last couple of seasons, we've got a few bargains. Bloody exactly, Southie. Could not agree more, brother. It's not... I keep trying to tell everybody, keep trying to calm everybody down. It's not about how much you spend, it's how well you spend, isn't it? And how you look at the window. You cannot tell me now, I was one of the only ones that said that the summer transfer market was a decent transfer market. We needed that extra sauce. We all know we needed the sprinkling. But then we got Cornetto, who we allegedly wanted in summer. Well, we did want in summer. And he's not ripped it up yet. So you go, well, did we need him then? Because that might have changed Farke's whole philosophy. We might have played a certain way, relying on him. Then he's not been able to do it. Then we don't pick up results. We don't beat Everton on first day of the season because we're a bit naive. We're a bit, too positive. Rather than thinking, no, like we don't actually have that special sauce. We need to be tough and strong. And it's, the world works in mysterious ways, doesn't it? Gruever's been great. I do think he thinks, what the fuck do I have to do to get proper minutes? Yeah, he's just got to keep plodding on though, hasn't he, Joe Depp? It's been brilliant. It's been brilliant for us. He just has to keep keeping on. I think he'll just be happy for minutes, really. Firpo's up top, isn't he? Southie, no subjects out of bounds. Sausages, flange valves, honey badgers, all welcome. You know it, Roger Slicker. Nobody knows it. If Roger doesn't know, nobody knows. Bielsa was reckless at flogging players, and if he had proven record of it with every club he's been at, and Farke should know players are not match fit in risking them. We can't say that. One thing we've all had unanimous support among is Dr. Farke and the medics, haven't we? So they've been excellent, haven't they, this season, for the past few seasons. Ampadu's recovery time's amazing. So Solanum, no doubt Junior is in there, and you know it, BMG. Yes, Steve, no remedies to stop it, just relief to make it feel better. Hope you're all right, Top Banana. Roger, don't mess about, Southie. We're all weird, Top Banana. I've always rated Gruev as an unglamorous but effective player. I did doubt Aronson, but fair play, he's turned it round. I agree, BMG, and that's absolutely fine, isn't it? I doubted Aronson, and for good reasoning, really. It was more his nonsense... In the relegation battle, when we went down, they were like shitting his pants about it, and I just thought, dude, have you ever played a competitive game of football before? But all I want is for us to smash Villa. Get up the Top Banana. Yes, Dazzler 15. Hi, Jack. Great show. Thank you, man. Are you a young Lasogga in the making? Lasogga. Do you think I look like Lasogga? No, I don't, to be fair, he's younger than me. So definitely not. I had to check his age then. Do you think I look like Lasogga? Yes, Dazzler, I love it. I think Cornetto would be an entirely better player if he had come here in the summer, but barely playing. He has arrived with a massive need to catch up. Yes, 78 RPM. Everybody bangs on about players that didn't have didn't have a pre-season, never mind not had a season, It's been like, and he's at that age as well where, he does need minutes, and he must have known at Chelsea that it won't get him minutes. He was getting nowhere near any minutes, wasn't he? So it's, it's a totally different mindset than thinking, well, I'm at Brighton or I'm at Leeds and I'm not getting many minutes, but I can see a way into the team. He must have known really early doors at Chelsea. That's why it was a bad move. Everybody could see it. But they do back themselves, these players, and you can't blame them. Mr. Whitesnake, all the players know what rules are. They know what is expected and what is required of them. Yes, indeed, Mr. Whitesnake. BMG, Gruev and Aronson quite different. Gruev always decent, but was underrated. Aronson was shit, but has improved. Another thing about Aronson is that he's never injured. That is true. And you always need to be careful when you say things like that, BMG. Because when you're never injured, and then you get your injury, you suddenly become injured all the time, don't you? So it's awful. Yes, Amps is an exemption. He is Wolverine's secret love child who uses his secret regeneration skills to stay match fit. Love it, AO. Southie, I'm 50 this year, but that's next season when my birthday happens. Premiership football better happen for my old sanity. Get up. 50 in the Prem. 50 in the Prem. Southie's 50. We're in the Prem. Quick question. One former player you would want in our team to keep us up? Mine is Batty, Richard Todd. I can't get away from Bowyer. I think Bowyer gets you everything, mate. The Goblin looks more like Lasoga. I hope the Goblin's not watching, Mr. Whitesnake. Steady on now, boys. Amps could be the next Doctor Who. Doctor No more, like. Yeah, he tech Rafinha. He works hard enough as well with it, doesn't he? So, yes, Brett, you've had a mention today, by the way, brother. Evening, Jackie boy and chat. Another random stream. Love it. Can see a double win this weekend for our teams. Yes, indeed. You've got Fulham, haven't you, Brett? So you can do a number on Fulham for us, boy. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, that's me signing out, boys, because I'm off to go. I've been in Rafinha's who I work so hard. So it's like, it's not even like you don't get that from him. It's not like, oh, the Goblin's got a bit of sense of humour. Don't worry about that. If you think I've got one, Whitesnake, it's all from the birth of the Goblin. So the Goblin will be fine with that. Don't worry. You take Lee Chapman up top as well. Him and DCL would be too much up top, wouldn't it? But yeah, Rafinha works so hard that you don't even lose anything with him in there. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you go, well, he's just, he's not a fancy player. I know he has all the fanciness and he's amazing on the ball and his trickery is outrageous and he's skillful and he's got shot from edge at box. He's got mint one-on-one. He's the whole package, isn't he? But he also works like a dog. That's why he was so mint when we was in a relegation battle, because you had every element of him. We should have just stuck him up top, shouldn't we, rather than fucking had him on throw-ins like my man Jesse Marsh. But yeah, that's me signing out, boys. I'll be live tomorrow. I'm going to go live really early, I might go live from like 1:30 and do like a bit of an underlap type, just shoot some shit and just see the lineup coming in and stuff, and just, because I should be all right. I'm having a few beers, but it should be steady, so I should be all right. Shouldn't be a write-off. But yeah, if you could smash us a like on the way out and then hit the notification bell or whatever anybody says. That really made me laugh other day, Mr. Whitesnake, when I saw your video saying, and they all say notification bell. I thought, well, I never do that, but I've just done it then. Take it easy, Southie. Cheers, Joe Depp. You are right about the apparent rigidity does not always translate to performance. Just look at our away game at Newcastle. Yes, indeed, Howard Bowden. Yes, indeed. On a serious note, why is it our famed academy at Leeds produces the odd good young player, but not the odd great player? I don't think any of the... Einar in the wings, get up. I don't think anybody's creating decent youngsters anymore. I think they're once every blue moon now. Appreciate your top banana. Hope you keep well, mate. Southie, Brett, BMG, Legendary MVG, Mr. Whitesnake, 78 RPM, my man Luke, Joe Depp, Mr. Whitesnake, Solenum Lineanum, Roger Slicker, of course, Richard Todd. Appreciate every which one of you. Dazzler 15. Take it easy, everybody. Einar in the wings. Appreciate you guys. Up. See you tomorrow for the watch along. Cheers, guys. Honestly, you're all legends. In a bit.
Boom.